But I should introduce myself first. So my name is Daniel. I'm a full-time open source developer. I lead the core team building Nuxt, which is a framework for building full-stack apps with Vue. I also maintain and help out on other projects as well. Honestly, it's the best job in the world. I get to build cool stuff, help people. That's a big part of what you get to do, I think, as an open source developer. You answer issues, fix bugs. You do also get to build some features as well. Do check out some of the projects there. Elk is a client for Mastodon, for example, which is a sort of decentralized Twitter. I have a few little sites like pagespeed.dev and firstcommit.is that have a very specific function, so you can check that out if you want. But the main thing is my website is row.dev. So if you have any questions, want to talk to me about anything, that's a great place to find my contact details if I haven't plastered them in enough places on my slides. I'm really happy to help. If you message me, so at the meetup 2 days ago, I said this, and someone came up to me afterwards and said, you know, I did message you on Discord, and you never replied. I felt so bad. Ping me if I don't reply. I really do want to. So yes, that's a good way to get in contact. This is a picture of my cat, Barley. I live in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and I think I would be a 10x developer if it were not for my cat, Barley, who is a lovely cat and absolutely prevents me from doing any typing when that is required. You'll see that the QR code there links to a page on my website, which, if it works, should allow you to send live reactions during the talk in the form of emojis. So you can try it out. The appropriate emoji here is probably a custom emoji, like a cat. What on earth is going on? There's lots coming all at once. I'm blaming the Wi-Fi. They're probably coming in batches. Oh, for goodness sake. We'll see how we go there. But first, I have a question for you. I knew it was risky. When I was building this feature a couple of days ago, I thought, this is great. I posted on Blue Sky about it. And I was immediately rickrolled. Did you know that you can rickroll someone with emojis? It's possible. I had never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. I was on my slides trying to write them, and the lyrics to Rick asked, it was scrolling on my screen. It was truly incredible. But I have a question for you. You're probably expecting me to tell you the answer. What is Nuxt? And if you don't know, don't worry. I will actually tell you in a moment. I didn't think this one through, clearly, with the live reaction. But if you go to that QR code and just answer the question, what is Nuxt? What do you think Nuxt is? And 2 people have done it. So honestly, that's a very low percentage. The rest of you are sending emojis. Stop sending emojis. Answer the question, what is Nuxt? That was very directive. I'm sorry about that. I'm not normally quite so peremptory. $13? $30. It's the internet, that's right. We can always blame the internet. I don't think I have ever felt so unproductive as when I'm on a slow internet connection. Like, I don't know if the internet has actually just become part of my brain at this point, but it actually feels like my thinking slows down. I become unable to string together what I want to do. Okay, that's enough, people. Oh, suddenly it's the internet, yeah. You were right. Okay. This is a bit of a boring moment, but oh goodness, people are still submitting. So that is what Nuxt is apparently. Vue, it's a framework built on top of Vue, full stack, front end. Next. Interesting. Come find me later. Are you sure this is the right conference? Okay. Nuxt does a lot of things. Nuxt is a framework for building full-stack web apps. The idea is it's a progressive framework, so it starts with you. You should be able to get started with no extra effort, and it should go with you every step of the way. The idea is it should be intuitive. The idea is it should bring best practices. The idea it should empower you to do whatever you need to do. Whether that's build a purely client-side app with no server rendering, or whether that's building a multi-page app with no JavaScript, whether that's building a hobby project, or whether that is building an enterprise app. I should have done a lot of things. I should have done a lot of things. Nuxt is doing well. If you look at the numbers, and people always do seem to look at the numbers, our download counts are increasing steadily and reassuringly. There was the terrible drop. By the way, those drops are Christmas. Every year, around Christmas time, developers of open source libraries think, no one loves me. Because they check NPM and something like that happens. But actually, and I really do think this is true, these numbers are not as important as the number of people who are involved in building and maintaining Nuxt. We have over 830 contributors, and I imagine you'll see your own face there. And not all of them can fit onto the slide. And not all of them even come back from GitHub API, which is what is populating the slide. But Nuxt is a community project. It's not a for-profit enterprise. It is a project created by people who use it and hopefully love it. And it exists to make people's lives better. And it's also not one thing. So Nuxt isn't just the framework, which is where I spend most of my time. It's also the modules ecosystem. There are over 260 modules, 211 people maintaining those modules. These are just the ones that are registered at our registry at Nuxt/modules on GitHub. Over 1,600 contributors, 23 million downloads, 200,000 stars. Nuxt is not one thing. It is a community and an ecosystem. And all of those modules enable and empower different things, which means that as that ecosystem grows, Nuxt core is free to be lean and to enable functionality, while module authors, and sometimes those are third parties who have services, functionality like CMSs or analytics providers or more, can hook into what Nuxt offers and give a really good experience to users. And I'm always really excited when I get to help somebody out to build a module that makes their service or whatever feel like magic. We have lots of core modules that we've built. So Nuxt Content just had a new major release, version 3, with using SQLite, even actually in browser, to enable live querying of your content database on the fly. Check out, Ahad is around. Do grab him. There's an ESLint module. I'll show you that a bit later. A fonts module, which enables zero config, literally zero config. Just use the font in your CSS web fonts. There's an icon module for integration with lots of different icon providers. An image module, again, for integration with lots, 30+ image providers. Third-party scripts module to make third-party scripts performant. They are the worst contribution to poor website speed. Test utils to focus on testing your Nuxt app or module, and even a first-party UI library. And we have 3 more coming. Nuxt hints module from Jacob. He'll be speaking a bit later on, aiming to identify potential performance issues in your app before you launch and help you fix them in dev. An accessibility module, which will, again, it can't do all of your accessibility work, but it can make things better for you. And an auth utils library, which will be extracted from Sebastian's current library, Nuxt auth utils, and brought into the Nuxt org for core utils to be available to all Nuxt users and authors. And our current strategy is by having separate modules that people can bring into their app, we, again, keep the core minimal, and we enable faster progress. because they don't have to be on the same release schedule. And even though we aim to release a patch every week or so and a new feature, minor release every month or so, this still means it's possible to see continued progress, no matter what the state of the current main branch of Nuxt is. People often ask me the question, where will Nuxt be in 10 years? Or where is Nuxt going into the future? What do you think? Where's Nuxt going? People say, will it be around in 20 years' time? Where are you directing Nuxt? And I have a very unsatisfying answer, or maybe it's not unsatisfying. Maybe it is very satisfying. It depends who you are. But first, I want to ask you a question. What do you value most? What skill do you value most? Just think in your own life or people around you, what do you value most? Because I think there are we talk a lot about 10 times developers. There'll be different skills people think about. There'll be focus. Sometimes people think, the ability to focus while hundreds of emojis are flying past on a screen is a valuable skill. I don't know. The ability to focus may be when interruptions are pinging in from your boss at work, from your colleagues asking questions in Slack. What would you say the most valuable skill is? Is it to be really fast at something? Actually, I have a question. Would someone like to go head-to-head with me on a typing test? I can't see, so just shout out. Yes, you. Conveniently in the front row. Let's do this.
I was not placed here.
Oh, it is bad internet, isn't it? Goodness.
Should I make a hotspot?
We should be fine. Now I understand why that WebSocket connection was so slow. Come on. Okay, so 15 seconds. Type away.
It's a bit greasy.
The screen or the keyboard? Oh dear. This is a bad moment.
I was nervous.
Okay. Shall I give it a try as well? Oh. It's not exactly the slide I was on. We're going to very quickly go back to where we were. Thank you, by the way, for coming up and doing that. And I want to say that that is a totally useless skill. Because the ability to type fast isn't actually that what does that do? You have a period of immense focus and you can type very quickly. But I actually think there's something else that is more valuable. And I think if you're anything like me, the dream that I have had, I mean literally a dream, you fall asleep. The best dream I ever have is when I fly. Do you ever have a flying dream? And you just fly? It's wonderful. And the reason that I love it, and I think the reason why it feels very profound for me, is that it's all about effortless. It's about being effortless. It's about being able to take what is in your mind and make it true. You feel I want to go there, and you can. You feel I want to go higher, and you can. And that effortlessness, what matters in typing, for example, isn't how quickly you can type, but the fact that when you want to say something, you can express it on the computer and ideally without effort. And getting to that point is what I think typing was all about. And there are lots of other things where that's true as well, where it's not about how skillful you are at something, it's how effortlessly you're able to achieve the excellence that you desire. And why am I saying this? It's because I believe that Nuxt exists, as well as many other developer tools, to make the experience of developers effortless and to solve problems that we face. And so the question of where Nuxt will be in 10 years' time is unanswerable unless you know the answer to what problems developers will face in 10 years' time. Because that is why it exists. It's created by people to solve problems, to bring best practices into projects, and in a world where best practices change and problems change, you expect frameworks to need to change as well. I think that's a crucial thing, and it's something that means that Nuxt is never going to be done. It's never going to be complete. We're never going to reach a stage where we think, that's it. All problems are solved. The web is now static, by which I mean unchanging. And we're done. I've talked a lot about this, but I really believe it's important. Nuxt, in 10 years' time, will be, I hope, where we need it to be. So, what are we doing now to get there? So some of the things we're doing, I'll try and be really quick about this. We're working to clean up the ecosystem. So the release of 3.16 just a few days ago, we were able to drop a huge number of dependencies, migrating steadily but surely from some incredibly big, hefty ones, which you might not notice in a Node modules folder, but every little change makes a difference. I want to shout out E18E, the ecosystem community, ecosystem cleanup community. You can find them on e18e.dev and get involved if there's something that interests you. James and I think Pascal and there have been various folk I've seen across the room, so do say hi if you're from that group. They're doing great things. We've been moving to ESM-only dependencies and lighter dependencies as well, meaning that your Nuxt 3.16 install will be lighter than your 3.15, and we hope to continue that trend going forward. We shipped lazy hydration, which is a very cool feature and makes a big difference for making your website more immediately interactive. So lazy hydration, it's what happens when you load the HTML on the client and that first page load. How can we make that very first interaction on your website faster? So we can do stuff like this, by the way, came from a great RFC from Philip Rakowski. It was implemented by Galactic Hypernova. So you can have hydrate on visible, which uses, most of these use Vue's own lazy hydration handlers under the hood. So you can actually just immediately hydrate something when it's visible. So it will download the chunk for that at that point. You can have something that is interactive, and you can specify the event that it takes. So clicking, for example, makes a difference for that one. You can have media queries. So they won't hydrate unless, say, it's on a mobile or on a browser. You can hydrate on idle. My browser is obviously fine, which is very good, again, for something that where you want that app to mount, everything to be done. It's still important, but you don't want to block that initial hydration. You can have a time-based hydration, so 2 seconds, for example, or something else. And you can hydrate on a custom trigger in case one of these doesn't suit your needs. So, for example, when a user logs in. And you can even hydrate never at all. So just render some HTML, and it's great for a footer or something like that. That JavaScript never needs to be included on the client, unless it changes or you need to reload it for some reason. I'm pretty excited about that, by the way. I hope you use it. I hope you find it helpful. And there's more where that is coming from. Nuxt DevTools 2 is released. It's extremely cool. One of the features that we're bringing is the ability to inspect your Nuxt configuration. You can even write queries to find out what the options are. You can see how modules change the config. That's actually coming soon. Another coming soon feature is the ability to see how what requests are being made on the server to render that initial response and how they fit together. So you can debug, oh, I have a waterfall. I'm fetching this and fetching this and fetching this and fetching this, and that's why it took a second to load. So really exciting things coming in Nuxt DevTools. And I don't want to, well, I do want to spoil it, that's why I'm putting it on a slide. But check out, it's just been made public, Anthony's Nuxt MCP. It's a way of telling an LLM not about Nuxt in general, but about your specific project. So you can use it with something like Cursor, and it knows how your project works, what components you have available to use, what is going on in your project. That's very cool. I was really pleased about this, though, because this affects me every day. So in Nuxt 3.15, we built some tools because Nuxt startup was getting slower, particularly as the project size grew. So these are the top 5 function calls within Nuxt that were taking time. And they overlap a little. It's not all additive. But we built some tooling to allow us to investigate that and went through every one of those calls to see if we could optimize it. So move from slow, so maybe an iteration to reduce the iteration count. Maybe if there was a fast path, could we move that to the top and actually avoid some slower things? And we were able to do that. We were able to significantly cut the cost down. In fact, in the test fixtures, Nuxt test fixtures, the startup time difference before the Nuxt server was ready to go was 2.9 seconds to 1.3. A huge difference. That's over half, over 50%, I think, if my maths is correct. That was a really big deal. My own website, there's more going on. I have my own custom modules. I download some stuff from GitHub when it starts. It's still sped up by 30%. Nuxt.com website, again, there's lots going on. It's fetching from GitHub to download a whole tree of content. Its startup still decreased by 28%. And I hope that that is a trend we can continue in the next release of Nuxt and the one after that. Oh, we have a new Nuxt command. So it's now create Nuxt. And you can get a beautiful little ASCII emoji. And by the way, this is actually, this is over-engineered. Because this is actually a WebSocket to a terminal that I launched on my computer and an emulator in the browser. I want to prove it. These are divs, people. This is really on my computer. That's what I was looking for. And actually, the reason I want to show this to you is not just to show off my cool new terminal, although it partly was that. Thank you for the validation. It makes a big difference. But we've just shipped a new feature. Just last night I released it. You can now, after getting a new Nuxt project going, select a module or a set of official modules that you might want to install. And we plan to allow an interactive module selector so you can browse any of the modules that exist on the modules registry. And our vision is that instead of expanding the scope of Nuxt, Create Nuxt to ask you lots of questions and add more features, we're going to leave it to modules to do that. So for example, you see I've installed the Nuxt ESLint module. It's created an ESLint config file for you, which means that if I already go ahead and run ESLint, I have to go into VueJS Amsterdam. If I already go ahead and run ESLint, it should run and work. Here's the start. I've got my ESLint config. I have Nuxt ESLint in my modules. And so the idea is that as modules offer integrations for users, we should actually be able to do almost anything that you might need in the way of a project setup. Create Nuxt is zero dependency, and it's a sixth of the size of Nuxi, so it should be a lot faster to get going. And there's a lot of progress and work coming here. We want to make this a really nice experience for users. So you can already go ahead and use it. And we've updated our commands on our documentation as well. We're working on runtime performance too, in terms of your not just your dev server, but actually when you ship your app to your user. So we have branches in progress for streaming HTML. A streaming response means faster time to first byte, and it can mean a faster time to interactive for your user. We're working to get a payload cache integrated with a browser to save memory and make the runtime Nuxt lighter. So again, for those long browsing sessions on really big sites, that makes a huge difference for users with lower powered phones, for example. And there's some interesting pre-rendering optimization. So just to give you a sneak preview of one, where you have lots of chunks in your HTML, maybe because you have lots of components or lots of things that you're using to render it, we can actually optimize that into a single runtime chunk. And we can do that at pre-render for no cost at all to you, but a significant benefit in that initial network download. And we can also take async data function calls. Again, when you're pre-rendering, they're not needed at runtime for the most case. And we can actually split them out into separate async chunks, meaning they never needed to be downloaded if they're not used. We tried this out on Nuxt.com and saw a 39% reduction in total JavaScript loaded on initial load, and over 66% reduction in unused JavaScript. So hopefully very promising numbers. We're also working on something which I haven't told many people about, a Nuxt runtime. You might have heard of multi-app, but the idea will be a single Nuxt runtime that's cacheable, that doesn't change unless the version of Nuxt changes, that lets you ship your apps as slim little diffs on top of it, your own code running with a Nuxt runtime. And shipping multi-app support without a central registry. So one Nuxt app could import, if you've enabled it, a page from another Nuxt app or a component from it at runtime. So watch this space. It's very exciting in terms of some of the things that might be unlocked by this. So Nuxt 4, I should probably say this. I've said before, Nuxt 4 isn't about hype, it's about thoughtful breaking changes. And this past year, I was expecting to have it out in June of last year. This past year, we've been spending a lot of time working out how to make that a smooth and simple migration, and also waiting for some other very exciting things, which I think you're going to hear about very soon. And our focus has been on a good migration experience. So it's possible to use some of the features of Nuxt 4, which include a new directory structure, opting into more performant defaults, more precise reactivity, better data fetching. It's possible to already use those features simply by enabling future compatibility version, and then even granularly disabling whatever features you might not want to use. And you can do all of that by checking the migration guide on Nuxt.com using a code mod. You can look at how I've implemented the migration to Nuxt 4 on my own website. And you can even start a new project with Nuxt 4 defaults already. So we're not holding anything back. We're shipping as much as we can, either cherry-picking it to the 3.x releases with opt-in, or letting people just opt into everything if they want. So hopefully you've been using that and appreciating it. I've been having really positive feedback in terms of not requiring a lot of migration for users. But the real test will be obviously when we release Nuxt 4, which is not long now. The roadmap is that we have a need for ecosystem migration first. So we're going to migrate the ecosystem, because Nuxt isn't just a framework, to breaking changes in H3 and Nitro, and we expect that to take about a month once Nitro is done with all of its breaking changes. And I'll be working with the Nuxt modules registry to ideally create PRs to those upstream modules if you're worried. We're going to test, update the docs. We can test via ecosystem CI. Nitro will be released, and Nuxt will be released. And that's the plan. And it is within within eyesight. So as soon as you hear that Nitro, for example, is in release candidacy, then this timetable begins. And Nuxt 4 will be just around the corner. I should say that all of this, and I hope you've seen as I've gone along that I'm not responsible for all of this in any way. Nuxt is a community project. It's made possible by those hundreds of module authors, by the rest of the core team, and also by the ecosystem team, which I've mentioned before. Now, the ecosystem team is a group of Nuxt module authors, library maintainers, and others. And today, I'm making it visible. You can check them out. The ecosystem team are hugely valuable in making Nuxt what it is. And they now have their own page on the website. So do check them out, sponsor them, say thank you if you want. And if you want to be part of that as well, feel free to reach out. If you're interested in any of that, you can find out more at nuxt.com. That's a QR code if you want to follow people on Blue Sky. All of the Nuxt ecosystem team that are on Blue Sky are in it. And if you do at any point want to talk to me about anything, if there's something I can do to help you, please feel free to book a 10-minute slot on my website. I really enjoy those. And if there's anything I can do, let me know. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you today about the state of Nuxt. I'm really excited about where we're going, and I hope you are too. Thank you very much.